What's up, everyone? All right, well, here we are, the last day of 2019, the last day of this small account challenge, and I'm up another $1,300, which means I'm gonna finish with around $54,000 in this account, which is crazy. So what I'm gonna do later this week, obviously the market's closed tomorrow for New Year's. Thursday, I'm gonna import all of my trades from today, and I'm gonna start working on a mini class, a lesson on how I did this, how I turned $500 into over $50,000 in 17 trading days, what my strategies were. I'll show you clips of the live trading examples and everything else. So stay tuned for that. That'll come, I'll probably schedule that. I'll start working on it later this week and schedule it maybe for early next week. All right, now, in the meantime, enjoy today's recap, a breakdown of, let's see, the 5 stocks I traded. Today, kind of a slow finish to the challenge, not like a big winner and certainly not a big loss or anything like that, but just a green day, $1,300, can't complain. So as always, if you guys have questions, you have comments, leave them right down below. I hope you're subscribed to the channel and give me the thumbs up for doing the full month of the small account challenge. It's been a lot of fun, it's been really exciting, and new small account challenge right around the corner. All right, so enjoy the video and I'll see you guys first thing on Thursday morning. All right, everyone, so we're gonna go over the trades from today and do our last midday market recap for 2019, our last midday market recap of the decade, which is pretty crazy. And, just kind of go over this last day of my small account challenge. So as you guys know, at the beginning of December, I started this brand new account with $500 in it. And, I didn't really come into the challenge with a super strong goal of what I wanted to do with it in terms of dollars. I kind of kept saying that this isn't about a sprint and trying to break a record or trying to, do anything like that. It's really just about trading with a small account for the benefit of showing you guys how it's done. I mean, I did a small account challenge starting in January of 2017. That's nearly 3 years ago now. And, inevitably there were some folks that were like, hey, 3 years later, does your strategy still work? Can you still turn a $500 account into, 100 grand or $1 million or whatever the case is? And of course, I knew that it was still, the strategy is still great and it would still work. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. So December 1st, whatever, started the account with 500 bucks in it. At CMEG, of course, had 4 times leverage up until 2,500, and then I had 6 times leverage from there higher. And I've turned the account into over $50,000. So from $500 to, I guess it'll be around, let's see, I started this morning with $52,896, and I'm up $1,300. So 52, 53, so I'll be around $54,000. So from $500 to $54,000 in 17 days. Today is day 17 of the small account challenge, and I am impressed with how quickly I've grown this account. I've grown it faster than I expected. I really, I figured I'd do okay, but I didn't think I would do this well. Let's just pull up the calculator here. Calculator app. So when I turned, let's see, my first challenge was $583 into 100 grand. So $100,000 divided by 44 days. All right, so I was averaging $2,272 per day during the last 500 to 100K challenge. On this challenge, I've grown the account into $54,000 in 17 days, which means I've been averaging $3,176. I mean, almost 50% higher per day average. And when I started the small account challenge in 2017, I had 6 times leverage from day one. So from day one, I had full 6 times leverage. I didn't have to wait until the account was above 2,500. I had 6 times leverage immediately. Now that obviously wasn't the case for this challenge, and so it initially made the growth. I thought, you know, it would make it a little slower during the first week or so, and it did. But then coming out of that, I've been able to grow pretty quickly. So I'll just put up the metrics here. This is this is what it looks like. This is the calendar. This is let's see. So we'll go into December, and this right here, for those of you guys who can see my screen share, this has been the month of December, not including today. I only had one official red day in gross profit, but I had one day here, which was day 2, where after commission on net profit, I was red. So let's look at net profit and make it fair. This is after commissions. So the first 4 days, really small gains, right? Didn't make a lot of progress, and then things really started to pick up right here on day 13. This was the first day that I doubled my account in one day. And then I did it again on this day. I did it again on this day, and I did it again on this day. So 1, 2, 3, 4 days where I doubled the account. Once I have today's trades imported, which will be not until tomorrow or Thursday, I'll be able to do a full kind of review of this challenge, and I do want to do that. It'll probably be at some point next week that I'll set aside some time to do a full review. So, you know, right now we can go over today's trades. I have made the decision that the challenge will end today. So today's the last day of the challenge. I'm not going to try to grow the account into 100 grand because it doesn't really matter. There's no question that I can grow the account into 100 grand. Not only have I done it before, I'm already more than halfway there. It's not really helpful at this point to prove to you that you can turn 54,000 into 100 grand, because that's not really where the challenge is. The real hard part is, well, ultimately the first week or so, the first 2 weeks. So I will start a new small account challenge early next month, and you know, show you again the process of those first few weeks of what it's like. And what I expect I'll do in the coming months and years is continue to do small account challenges from time to time on a more regular basis, where, you know, I just kind of press the reset button and start over. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna do it every single month, or that I'm gonna do it, you know, I'll do it as my, you know, travel schedule and everything else kind of accommodates, just because during those first few days, it takes a lot of focus. I need to ideally be in my workstation, not traveling, you know, and trading from an airport, you know, lounge or whatever. And also my own profitability does suffer somewhat from doing these small account challenges. There's no doubt that I made less in December than I would have made if I'd been trading in my big account the entire month. And I'm a little disappointed by my performance in the big account during the month of December, simply because I made this effort to try to trade in 3 accounts at the same time. And I was doing really well. I had a few days where I did really, really well in all 3 accounts. And then I had a few days where the small account was in good shape, but the big accounts were not in good shape. And my net profit is not as much as I had wanted it to be. So it just goes to show that trying to divide your focus and trade in 3 accounts at the same time is going to continue to be difficult. And so if a small account is the one that I'm focusing on, it will mean my overall profits will suffer. As of right now, today, let's see, my annual profits for 2019 here, coming into the month of December, I was sitting at $311,000 of profit in 2019, and I'm up, well, 54,000 here, so that'll be 365,000 or so, and then the profits from my large account I'll import on Thursday or Friday, and so we'll see where it all settles out. But you know, it's been a pretty solid year, but it did cost me some money to do this challenge, so I do appreciate those on Facebook and YouTube giving me the thumbs up for doing it because, you know, it's obviously easier just to trade with a big account. You know, I mean, make more money, and yet that's not as helpful for students. And so that's where I sort of have two, at times, conflicting interests: the interest of being the best teacher possible and the interest of being the best trader possible. You know, I mean, and those usually they're fine. I mean, I can't be a good teacher if I'm not a profitable trader. So obviously they have to align to a certain extent, but there are some areas where they diverge a bit. Okay, so let's go over today's trades. This was kind of a frustrating day for me, if I'm going to be honest. I'm up $1,300, which is good. But I gave back profit on my last trade. The trades here are always sorted from the order that I took them. So I made 3,500 on NEURO, I lost 116 on IMAC, lost 99 on NVCN, made 155 on EVSI, and then lost 2,100 on ONCY. So this trade cut my profits by more than half. And so, as you guys know, I've got a couple of rules. 3 red trades in a row and I'm done. I lose half my profits in the day, I'm done. Or if I hit my max loss, I'm done. So I gave back half my profits, and at that point, I was done. Now, I could use a haircut, and I said that I'll cut an inch off my hair every time I break a rule. So since I haven't actually had to do that since implementing that rule, and my hair's been getting longer, I probably could afford a rule break here or there. You know, and I was thinking about it yesterday because I did hit max loss in my big account, which means I was down more than 1,000, and it meant that I missed the trade on MKD where I made over $10,000 in my small account. And I did pick up the phone to try to get my max loss increased, but Rob did not answer the phone. And so, you know, I decided to end up taking the trade. So my hair is preserved for one more day. But today I just felt like the writing was on the wall, that it really wasn't worth it. And so I just left it alone. Okay, so let's see. So let's start with NEURO. And what I want to do is I'm going to show you a recording of my NEURO trades. Now I made $546 on NEURO in my big account, which was okay. I did trade it in both accounts at the same time. Let's see, where is this? Actually, I can't now. I'm having trouble finding the file. But so in any case, let's just start with the gap scanner. All right, so gap scan this morning is right here. So I'm going to right click, time frame, historical date, and run this for 9:20 a.m. 9:20. Okay. So at 9:20 this morning, our leading gapper was NVCN. You can see I lost $99 on it. So NVCN, we can look at that one first. Even though it's not the first one I traded, we'll just go ahead and look at it first. So NVCN. All right, so this stock, I told you guys this morning that I was a little hesitant on it. I really wasn't sure that it was gonna work out. Pre-market, it had already shown this kind of crazy volatility from 5 up to 11, back down to below 7, and then back up to 880. And so as we were getting ready for the bell to ring, I said, you know, I kind of like it over 8, but really 880. I'm gonna switch this back to a 1 minute and a 5 minute. So I go back and forth between these time frames, especially to show you guys in real time some of the micro pullbacks that I'm seeing. So right out of the gates, the bell rings and it squeezes from 8 up to 841. Now, I didn't take that trade. I felt that it was a little too risky, but in fact I could have, and I could have made, you know, 20 or 30 cents per share. But it ended up flushing back down, going to a low of 675, and then it did a red to green move and a break of VWAP right here. So as it started to curl up right here, this is where I got in, and I ended up adding, you can see how it broke 733. I waited for it to break over this level here of 766. It broke 766, and at that point I was like, this thing's gonna break through the VWAP. So I'm adding at 775, 780, $8. I add again at $8.20 and again at $8.40. So I took 8,000 shares of this stock. I took 8,000 shares of NVCN, and my cost basis ended up being about, I don't know, it was like 810 or something like that. It was a little on the high side. So for a moment, with 8,000 shares, the stock was up to 865, and I was thinking, okay, now what I'm looking at on this is a break over 880, because if it breaks this level right here, then we've got room for a move back up towards 9 and 10. So I held the whole thing. Now, at the point that I took that trade, this is the one I'm showing you first, but I was already up over 3,500 on the day. So, you know, it's kind of like, I'm up 3,500 on the day. Let's just see what this does. I've already hit my daily goal, so I'm just gonna kind of let this ride. Let's see, you know, how much it goes up. Well, it ended up coming right back down, and I got out break even. So with 8,000 shares, I went from up 50 cents a share, $4,000, to break even. Well, down 99, which is a little discouraging. I mean, you know, it's one of those things that sometimes holding for the bigger move pays off big time. Look at LMPX from 2 weeks ago. You know, LMPX from a couple weeks ago, switch this to the daily chart here. On this one, we were trading this down at $6 and ended up hitting a high of 44. And I couldn't help but think to myself, if I had just held even 5,000, even 2,000 shares, you know, I could have made $30,000, $40,000. And yet I kept getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out. And then, you know, so sometimes you kind of get in that mindset of, you know what, I'm just gonna hold this for a second. Let's see what this does. Maybe this is the one that ends up really ripping up, and I'm able to be holding 8,000 shares up a full $1 a share, which is pretty much what I was looking at, because at 865, I was up almost $1 from my first entry. All right, so I was kind of getting a little excited. And the technical setup over 880 was valid, but unfortunately, it did not break that level. It came right back down, and I got out break even. You know, a good rule as a beginner trader is really always to take profit as you go, because having trades like this where you miss and, you know, you give back profit can start to give you FOMO, frustration, anger, and then if you take that out in, you know, trade 3, 4, and 5, it can be a problem. So the next trade, well, so now let's go back. So this was the leading gapper, NVCN. It was gapping up over 100%, but as you can see, you know, I think we nailed the best trade here from 733, 760 up to 860, but then it didn't hold that level. So really kind of heavy to the sell side. The news headline on it this morning was that they put in their application for, what was this? FDA something or other. So, you know, a headline, it's not even that their application got approved. It's just that they submitted an application. So I was already a little skeptical on the headline. I was a little skeptical on the pre-market action. But when it started to rip here, I thought, okay, you know, let's see what this can do. So anyways, was wrong on that. Next one down, TMDI, too cheap, left that alone, too cheap. FSL, the float's too high. I'm not interested in that. SLGL. SLGL is the one that I lost on yesterday. This was the biggest loss. Biggest loss of the month was on SLGL. Disappointing. And this morning it started to curl back up. Starts to curl up. All of a sudden I'm thinking, hey, you know, if this breaks yesterday's high of 21, despite the fact that yesterday was a big red candle, that's going to be a pretty big sign of strength. So as it curls up here to 20 or 1989, I noticed there's a headline price target increase to 33. And then look at this candle. All of a sudden, boom, it drops from 1950 to 1750. So, you know, you kind of have to wonder who's been holding this for long enough that they're able to hit the market with that kind of share size. You know, it's a little strange. I don't know if it's insider selling shares or what it is, but it was happening yesterday as well. These kind of strong drops in sort of interesting places, and so I didn't end up taking any trades on that. SDRL, 100 million share float, no good. NIO, float's too big, and then we've got NEURO. So NEURO. This one is kind of interesting. I have traded it in the past. I know it's a stock that tends to move quickly. The pre-market high was 520, as you can see right here, and the daily chart showed resistance at 542, which was the 200 moving average. So I thought that if it broke over 540, that looked really pretty interesting. All right, so the bell rings on this, and I have my order ready to go at 520. And so this was on my watch list. The two I was watching were NVCN and NEURO. So basically, I type in NEURO. All right, so I type it in there, and I click the ask, and then I move my order up with the up and down arrow to 520. And I think it was actually at 510. All right, so I was watching it right here. I was watching it like a hawk. I had my hand on the buy button. I was looking for that break of $5. The break of 5 was where I was going to take my entry, and then I was going to double over 520. So I had the order ready to go. I had it for 2,000 shares. All I needed to do was press the buy button. So I'm, kind of watching this and NVCN, because this was the first couple minutes. I'm watching both of them. And NVCN kind of was moving a little bit more, so I was more focused on that. This in the first minute had almost no volume. Well, it had 39,000 shares, but pretty light on volume. So I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna hold tight for a second. All of a sudden, I look at the level 2 and it's ripping. It was 488 and then it's 490, 492, 495, 498. And I bring my hand down and I'm like, click, 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 click. My buy button, my mouse is not on the buy button. I'm clicking the wrong button. And I'm like, no, here it goes. 510. And, before I even was able to say, okay, guys, it's ripping, it was at 540. And I was just like, I missed it. And I saw some of you guys commenting in the room because you took the trade, which is great. I mean, this is the whole goal of education, that you don't need to wait, and you should not wait for me to say, I bought this stock to get in. Because if you do that, you're always behind me. You want to get in because you see the same thing on the level 2 and on the time and sales. And so when you guys saw that buying right there at 499, 498, whatever it was, break of 5, you were punching that buy button. So obviously a number of you guys did get in there and took that trade right there up through 613, a full dollar per share. Impressive. I missed the whole move. Of course, at this point, I was like, well, don't chase it. I hadn't taken any trades yet on the day. I didn't have a cushion, so I was like, you got to wait. So I waited for the first 1 minute pullback, which was right here. Okay, so it drops down. It pops back up. First 1 minute candle makes a new high. I'm getting in at 575, 580, 590. I'm adding for the break of 510. On this one, it goes to a high of 6. Sorry, the break of 610. It comes up to 613. It double tops. I sell, I hit the bid in this account, I lock up $3,500. I hit the bid in my big account, I got some slippage, and I made only $500. So, trying to trade in the two accounts at once, I actually had bigger share size in my big account, and I made less money because this is the one that I was focusing on. And this was a very quick trade, and it was a hard rejection off that double top. So only $500 of profit in my big account, $3,500 in the small account, and then that was it. All right, so that was NEURO. Unfortunately, has not held up well at all. And that was kind of the beginning of me feeling like, all right, you don't really like to see stocks dropping like that. It's not really a great sign. Next one, IMAC. I didn't really even mention it on the watch list. I think I said, okay, here it's a gap scan stock, but it has no volume. I'm not really interested. All right, so then all of a sudden it rips from 2 to 220, 230, 240. I press the buy button at 250. I press the buy button for 10,000 shares at 250. It rips to 293. But you know what? I only filled 400 shares. So I filled 400 shares. Now with 400 shares, I didn't sell when it hit 293. I just thought, all right, well, let's just see what it does. And then it pulled back all the way to 205. So I ended up losing $116 on 400 shares. I mean, so now we've got two pretty big false breakouts. I mean, I jumped in a little on the high side at 250. But it went another 50 cents and then dropped all the way back down to 2. And so now we've got a second false breakout. NEURO and now IMAC. EVSI. EVSI hits the scans. This is the high day momentum scanner. And on this one, I was skeptical. It gets halted. I did not buy it going into the halt. I said, let's see what this thing does coming out of the halt. It ends up hitting a high of 564. And I just bought the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. It did a little micro pullback. It was kind of right in here. It opened, it then dipped, it hit a high of 540. It then dipped down here to 5. It then started to surge back up, and I got in as it started to surge back up. Made $155. Again, there's nothing to really be excited about there. It was a very small gain. Okay, then ONCY. ONCY, you might think after, kind of 3 disappointing trades in a row. Now, granted, those weren't 3 losers because EVSI was a winning trade, but 3 kind of slow trades in a row. Do I really want to take any more trades? Well, ONCY hits our high day momentum scanner. So that's the scanner that I've got back here that's running. And you see EVSI was hitting it, and then ONCY was hitting it. So as it hit the scanner, that was as it broke over 540, 550, 560. It does a micro pullback right up here. It looks like it was about to get halted, and so I bought it at 578. It squeezes up to 6, and I sell. I made $800. It then does a little micro pullback right here, and I added, like basically right before this dropped, I added right here at 6, thinking that this was doing a micro pullback and was going to break now over 6 and rip up to 610, 615, 620. It ended up dropping quickly back to 571. I held it for a second. I was waiting for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, but then it flushed on this candle to 553 and I had to stop out. So I ended up losing about 40 cents a share on 8,000 shares. And so I gave back the profit I'd made and then went into the red. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm done. And that's a little disappointing because this is going to be my second biggest loss of the small account challenge. However, it's also to be expected because at this point in the challenge, I've now been trading with larger share size. I've been giving stocks a little bit more room, taking a little bit more risk. I've certainly been able to afford to do that. And generally it's paid off, but this was one that obviously went red. So at this point, I now had to shut it down because I hit my threshold trigger of giving back half my profits. In fact, I was up about 4,000 after the first trade on ONCY because I was up about 200 here, and then I made 800. So I was up $4,000. And then I gave back a lot on that drop, which is really disappointing. But of course, you got to cut the loss at some point, and thank goodness I did, because if I kept holding it, I would have given back all of today's profits. So, I draw the line in the sand, and I had to cut that loss. I was just wrong that it was going to continue higher. Now, yesterday, I didn't hit max loss. I didn't have 3 red trades in a row, and since I went red right out of the gates, I didn't give back half of my profits. So I didn't actually hit any triggers. Even though yesterday I was down 2,500 and kept trading, today, because I gave back half my gains, I had to stop, which is kind of interesting. I mean, because you could say, well, Ross, you're still up 1,300. You could have taken, well, look at this trade on XAR, right? I mean, you could have jumped in that. It went from 490 to 530. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like volume. I don't see news, but just, for the sake of argument, you could say, yeah, you could have jumped in that, or you could have jumped in, any of these other stocks that hit the scanner. You were still green on the day. It's not like you were red. You didn't take 3 red trades in a row. But the risk would be that on that trade, I lose again, and now I go from up 13 to up only 6. And then I take one more trade because I'm not at max loss yet. And there's no reason to keep trading until you are at max loss, right? You want to preserve capital. So if you have a day where it feels like the momentum just isn't really there and things aren't really opening up, then it's time to throw in the towel. So this is where I'll finish today, and where I'll finish the challenge will be just over $54,000. As you can see, I have $317,000 of buying power today, which means on a stock like NEURO, pressing shift 1, I could be buying 35,000 shares. So I could take some really big share size. I've got now far more money in this account than I need, and it's time to take some profit out and press that reset button. So that's what I'm gonna do. Anyways, again, what I'll do probably on Thursday or Friday, I'm going to start pulling together all of the metrics from this challenge, and I'm going to put it together into a kind of a mini class, a video lesson on turning $500 into $50,000. And so I'll be working on that over the next few days, and then I'll probably plan to teach it at some point next week. And so what I'll do is I'll post a video about the kind of month of December in review and what my plans are, and what the schedule will be for when I'll teach that. I might do it as a live stream, so folks that are available can tune in and watch it live. So I'm going to plan that out, but that'll be coming soon. And of course, folks that are watching this, weeks, months, or even years down the road, I'll keep all of that stuff available, and it may even be a class that I continue to teach on a regular basis. I mean, I still teach the class of how I turned $583 into $100,000, even though that was almost 3 years ago. It's still great content. It was an awesome challenge, and folks really enjoy when I teach that class. So I still teach it on a pretty regular basis. So I expect that this one will be one that I teach. I bring into the rotation as a regular session or day trading kind of one-on-one class that I teach. All right, so anyways, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great day off tomorrow, and I will see you back here in January. All right, thanks everyone. Bye, take care. Hey, did you know every morning I go live to stream my pre-market watch list? Subscribe to the channel, press the alert button, and you'll get the notifications. And if you want to learn more about trading, check out the links in the description. And if you have questions, post them in the comments, because I personally respond to every comment posted on my channel.